Round 16, our holds and our sells. It's pretty tough to go, call these guys who's not hot, like Savelio, hot boy. Anyway, he's the most sold this week, 2.58%. We've got Olakau'atu, 2.32. Kolo still down at 2.25. I imagine that hasn't changed too much yet since, lockout lifted. Got Hamish Stewart, Jazz Tevaga, all over 1%. So I'll go through all of those guys and it'll be in order for these players and then some of the lesser sold type players. But firstly, it's Origin backups time. Now, and my reaction to it. Gee, the Blues were awful. And what kills me, right? It's just it's never about, the team played bad. It's just always about the refs. And I get that it was 8-0 in terms of penalties at halftime, but the Blues were awful. The Maroons gave away the footy a bunch of times. Like, how many times did Tino drop it in contact? And then, a few of the other boys did. I think Fodawaker dropped one. Heaps of their guys did. And we still didn't get close to capitalising. And then, down 26-6 at halftime. Yes, maybe if a call went the other way, or, maybe it was like a 70% chance that the call should have gone for the Blues, like, they would have been down at least 12 or 14 anyway in that first half. The way that they played, Queensland took their chances, and then it was a comeback of the ages. It was hoping to be. I wonder if the goal kicking would have done the job, or maybe the last try wouldn't have been scored if the scores were closer, or you don't know how it all plays out. But crazy that a couple of, they're all pretty close for Lomax, but he wasn't able to kick those goals. Now, the big news out of this is that Cleary didn't kick basically for the majority of the first half. Wasn't goal kicking, and we know that he is a better goal kicker than Lomax. Lomax has been great for the last year or so, but before that was like a low 70s goal kicker. So with that compression on his right thigh, he hardly kicked in general play as well, and did a bit more in the second half. But even those little dinks that he had in the first, wasn't able to have that confidence in it, and he had that one that went sideways. So pretty off game from him. But my opinion there is, if Moses was available, I don't know if Cleary would have played, because he didn't look himself at all. And it probably would have been Moses and Luai, who, apart from that first kicking it out and eye gouges and everything else that he brings to his game, he was able to bring the boys back into it and set a few things up on that left side. And guys like Toia, really, really good. The Queensland boys, shout out to Kurt Capewell, man. Incredible he was. Along with Munster, I just really, it's great to see those players that, they're very, larrikin type players, and it's 6-0 with him. He loves a beer, loves a good time, and they get thrust into a leadership role and they step up. You see him for, the Storm team sometimes, and you see here in Queensland as well. He's the guy barking orders, and he's pushing people around and getting in the right positions, and that's the kind of stuff you need in a leader of your side. He leads by his actions on the field, and then he is able to lead those men around, and in his first game as captain was able to get the win. So congrats to Munster on that one. Of course, here, the first time in about 10 years I've changed my tip from the Queensland boys to the Blues, and I end up losing that one. That's how it works, isn't it? That is always how it goes. But big shout out to Munster, and Kurt Capewell was awesome in this one. Generally, other players in this team, I thought Kurt Mann was really good on debut. Managed to pick up that try assist as well, which was good. Yeah, and then I didn't really notice him until that last few minutes. I was like, did he just come on? And Pat Carrigan, 33 minutes. So you'd imagine Paddy definitely backs up, given he only played the 33. Fodawaker, I'd imagine, very much in the same boat for backing up. Tino, 44 minutes. Sounds like he's got a bit of a sternum issue, which physio said there, eight runs for 50 metres, but to be fair, every time he ran the footy, he dropped it. So they might just went, you're not running the footy anymore at this point. Now, for the rest of the guys, no injuries, which was great. Trent Liero had the head knock, but he came on and kept playing, so that was good for him. Kurt Capewell, I doubt, plays this weekend. I don't think he's been named anyway, or if he's on the extended bench or whatever, but I don't see him playing. Harry Grant played the full 80. I'm not sure how he's going to back up. And then Munster as well. They're probably 50-50 in my eyes as to if they do back up or not. Guys like Val Holmes have the bye. Ponga just seemed to pass it off every opportunity he got. He only ran for 77 metres. I don't know if he's going to be there in game 3, but I don't think it's going to affect fantasy too much. He got 9 points. Xavier Coates got 8 It was a pretty wild game for fantasy stats there with Munster and Grant doing really well, along with Cotter and Capewell there. Kurtman had 41, very impressive in his time out there. But yeah, Tino, I'm not sure, like with that sternum issue, does he play? Like does him and Mo just stay off the bench? Cotter probably will try and back up. I know Dearden will. There's those players you just know will return for their sides. Lindsay Collins, 36 minutes. I think he is a decent chance of playing off the bench for the Roosters and playing probably similar minutes for them. Rob Toia, unsure. He's been named as a young fella. He didn't seem to get smacked around too much, but I thought he was really good. 70-odd run meters, plenty of tackles as well. I think 20, yeah. So, Hammer. Yeah, I think given he played wing, he's probably a good chance of playing on the weekend. I do want to see Trey Fuller, though. Now, for the Blues, a few of the guys that we are really keen on, the Cleary one's interesting. I think we need to find out some information on that injury. It's probably a good thing that he is missing this week already, and he now has like a week and a half off between this one and the next game. Like, he was able to play, so you'd assume that he'll want to get out there in round 17 so that he can prep and be ready for Origin as well in round 18 and help get his boys a win. And hopefully that's enough time for it to settle down, which it usually is for those type of injuries. If you can still kick, you can still run, you can still play, then he should be okay. Guys like Payne Haas, and that was 60 minutes, so I'm a little bit worried about him completely backing up, or if he does, it should definitely be a bench role coming back from Perth. Guys like Liam Martin not playing already. Crichton, 80 minutes for him could be a reduced role, but he seems to just back up and continue playing big minutes. Guys like Connor Watson, just the 19, so he'll be fit and available. Hudson Young, 46. He might play off the bench for the Raiders. I'm not sure about that one. Spencer, Stefano, weren't able to bring too much to this game, especially Stefano. He had that one run where I think he barreled Harry Grant over. And from there, it was just okay from him. Guys like the Trell playing in the centres, I think that he's a good chance of backing up, even with the soft tissue injuries that he has had issues with. But the question's going to be, does he play fullback or does he play centre for the Bunnies? I'd imagine he stays at fullback. Guys like Stephen Crichton, they have a bye, don't they? Yeah, so that's fine for him. And a lot of these guys are resting already. Max Hing, 25 minutes for him. Reece Robson, 61. A good chance he does play, probably off the bench for the Cows in this one. And that's about it of interest there. It's really just going to be Payne Haas being the most owned out of these guys with Cleary as the important players there. And guys you'll need to think about. But yeah, expect Paddy Carrigan to play some decent minutes there. Okay, let's go to our players now. Olakau'atu, 654k with the injury, guys. Just make sure you sell him. It's a good price to move on from. He's not one of the top tier guys, so misses at least the next 4 weeks, maybe around 20 return. Just sell. With Keon Konmatangi, likely to be back next week would be my call. A chance for this week, probably 10%, 15, 20%. Did train yesterday, had some contact in some instances. So with him being so highly owned, I think and being one of the better scorers, clearly 81, 85, 86, 65 in good minutes there. He'll be one of the guys you want for the rest of the season. And yes, he might miss this week. He'll miss round 19 just to get in the Origin squad for round 18, and then misses round 26. But he's going to be a guy that you want for the weeks that he's available if he's in that starting prop role, which if he is, you hold on tight, get those good scores. Hopefully he's back next week, but if not, it's round 18. And if he's out the next 2 weeks, he probably doesn't get picked in that starting Blues squad, I don't think anyway. Haas we just spoke about, but at 891k with the big break even, if he doesn't play this week, I understand the sell. It would be round 16 out, 18 and 20, and we'll see regarding 19, but he looked pretty good out there. He made a break or a half break there at one point. So yeah, we know what damage he can do. If you have already sold Cleary, I think holding Haas is completely fine. Hamish Stewart, unfortunately with him moving to the bench last game, it's probably going to stay that way. The 22 minutes seemed really low. I expected to go back to this sort of 30 to 40 range, which we know he can score okay, but when he's at 509,000, he is the easiest sell target, or one of, this week at that good price. So you can go, if you have a bit of cash available, you can go him to Hughes and different things like that. And guys, we'll get the best buys video out a little bit later today. Jazzy Boy, 569k. For some reason, he's being sold by 1.3% or so. He had a concussion last game, guys. He has to bye this week, so he gets to rest. He was 31 in 31 minutes. Yes, he was off the bench, but he was going to play probably around that 50 minutes. And if he kept to that PPM, there's another 50 to his tally of what would have been all 50s since he scored a 41 in round 10. So, yeah, there's no reason to sell him. He's priced at 42, hitting 50s every game. He's got more money to make if he keeps that up, which we know he can. And he comes up against Tigers and Bunnies over the next few weeks, plays round 18 as our hooker, and will do a great job. So no way is he a sell, in my opinion. King-Togia. This one's more around the price point, and I don't think it's worth selling him at 344. Right now, he's the cheapest player on my side, and I'm going to want to add probably one more cheapie at least. So I don't see the point of selling King-Togia to a cheapie. Like, you may save yourself or bank yourself 100k, but how helpful is that extra 100k when you're using a trade to get it? Like, I'd rather go from a mid-range guy from 500k or so down and use one of your other mid-range guys to go up, because 550 or 510k with Hamish Stewart down to the 250 or 230 or whatever it's going to be, nets you 250, 270,000, and then you can actually use that cash to get another 550k guy up to a top gun, like a Campbell, all these types of guys that we will speak about. So that's where I'd be at with someone like Lycan. He also coming off a decent score. He can make some more money. You can loop him in round 18 as that half as well. So it just seems silly to sell someone after a decent game as well. Like he's gone 30, 27, and 46, and he's priced at 26. So 3 scores above that number. It's not like he's hemorrhaging cash or anything like that. So a very easy, clear hold for me. Cleary we spoke about. I think for me right now, he's a very clear hold until we find out more information. Generally, I think with him being my only Origin guy right now, that's kind of where you want to sit it. That's the easiest way to get through this next month, is to have just the one guy or 2 at max. And if he's that one guy, he misses a lot of weeks outside of round 17 against the Dogs. That'll be an important one for them to try and win, especially if they lose this weekend against the Wars. Then yeah, I think you're going to want him for that one, and then you'll want him for all of the games on the way home, because they'll need to win most of them. Ruben Garrick, he's sold by 1% of people. Coming off for 63, he's priced at 43, guys, so it's not very high. He's one of the more important round 18 players to have against a Bunnies team that would be just okay, about as okay as Manly are playing right now. So at 575k, I think he's more of a buy. And similar to Drinkwater, we know Drinky, when he's going to be down here after this week, maybe even lower, he's going to be a buy at that 550 mark or so. Close to a 40 average is crazy for these types of guys that can be 50 guys. And he has a 49 average, which yes, includes a 97, but that's in his range of outcomes. So a very easy hold for Ruben Garrick. Fletcher Sharpe at 729. He is being sold by 0.6-0.7% of people as well, and I think that's a mistake. He'll be back this week. He'll be fine. Yes, the matchups aren't very nice over the next 5 games, to be honest. Dolphins, Canberra twice, the bye, Melbourne, and the Warriors, followed by another bye. So it's not perfect, but he's a guy that has tremendous upside. He's got 76, he's got a 98, he's got an 86 in there, among a couple of other 60 scores, which is incredible. So there's no way you can move on from someone like that with incredible upside, similar upside to what we've seen with players like Herbie, and he helps you around that wing fullback slot. Even though round 18's a miss, he helps in half on wing fullback, which is massive. And there's only a certain few guys that can average anywhere near this 58. So why would you sell something like that? For Jackson Purdue, just got to look at centre in round 18 and then make your decision. If you're completely fine for that week, or you're like, I'm going to get Kiraz or something like that, then that's fine to use him as a sell piece this week. But if your centre position's pretty gross and you're like, I'll just get Jack Howarth or something instead, then yes, you're saving 100k, but using trades to do that, and trades are absolute gold right now. So Purdue at 518k, if you need a centre for that week, you hold steady. And you've got the Titans in there, you've got Melbourne without their stars in those 2 weeks. That should be enough for you to hold him, and hopefully he can do all right. And he's coming off 32, which isn't terrible. 32, 36, and 65 his last 3. So It's not a bad three game average. It's above where he's priced at right now. Lockie Hubner at 447. A guy you used to get through round 15, and he's only been scoring okay in recent history. A couple of 40s, which is good, but a couple of like 330s in there after that head knock game, and the 29 on the weekend in decent minutes. So he's a guy that he's done a job. There's no real point holding on. Like if you used him last week, you did get burnt by the coaches that they were able to have 3 guns in the position. Maybe you were better in another spot, but most likely he hindered you, even though at that price it was, helpful to get another number. The number only netted you 29 points, and it could easily do that in round 18 as well. So I'd push to get a better player in your team for that slot. Isaiah Iongi has served his purpose, but he does have Titans and the Dragon. So he's an easy hold if you are fine with that. Price at 37, we know he can have some decent scores. My worry here is that without Moses, it can be a little bit testing, but he does have 2 decent scores in his last 4. 220s, a 64, a 47, and a 53 before that. So that's all just with the 1 try and 3 try assists there. So a player that you could have as an easy loop guy. If someone fails, then you could use him in that last game this week. You could also sell, given he's near 500k. Doesn't really serve your team no more unless you're using him as a loop. I'm seeing Couch sold by a few people at 682k. He's now getting to a lovely price. He had the injury to the shoulder. He then had the good score on return, 69, and then 54 and 47. I think there's a high chance that Stewart is back next week and Couchman goes back into the middle, and we know that that's where his awesome scores are. And now with players like this that hit highs 50s, that hit 60s, and have an 81 in their range, priced at 51, that sounds like a mistake to sell someone like him. He'll be helpful in round 18 as well, and every single round after that with the duel. Absolute no-brainer to hold. I think it would be a mistake if you sell. Rob Toia, he's an easy sell, 574k. A great spot here with him to move on. He's done your job, done the dash. If he plays this week, you could hold against the Cowboys, but he's going to miss 17-18, and he's not a top-tier keeper, even though the last 3 games have showed those type of numbers. What that's allowed his price to do is to get to a lovely number for you to sell. He's going to have mid-20s games. He's going to have the 30 odds and the 40s, yes. And there will be games against tougher opposition. He manages, sometimes a good score, sometimes in that lower score there. So similar in a way to Jackson Purdue, you're going to have the ups, you're going to have the downs. We've just had the recent hit of ups and a lovely price for you to move on from. Now, I had a couple of questions around the hooker slot. Someone sent me a message saying they've got Riley Smith. They kind of want to sell him. They're not too excited about his prospects going forward. Thinks he's a bit worried to have someone like him. If you've got Riley Smith and Tevaga, use Riley over the next few weeks. He's got a decent break even. Josh Babali is in the halves this week, so he has a higher chance of playing the big minutes again. But even in the 70 or the slightly lower minutes of 66, he's managed a 51 average, so 50 and a half for Riley there. Just use them two across the next 3-4 weeks, and then you can decide on that position if you need Aaron Clark or whatever it is come round 19. But if you're set in that spot, you have Clark and you have Jazz, then Riley is an easy sell with a good price. Very similar to Kitioni Kautoga at 536k. He's done his dash. He's been awesome for us. Anyone who bought in this first few weeks, you've done a great job. I bought 428 or something, so made a bit of cash on him, then sold him off, got some good scores. As I said, he's done his job. You probably don't need him anymore. If you need a centre this week, then easily hold if you're a bit short. But if you're not, then he can easily be sold at a nice price to move on from. Ben Trbojevic, I'm seeing him on a few people selling as well, given they have the buy. He, very similar to Jackson Purdue there, very helpful in the centre position for round 18. So if you have the ability to hold on to him, yes, he's had 38, a 21, and a 35, but the 21 he was out in the centres, and the other ones, it's like basically where he's priced at 38 that he's going to get with some upside. So he's just an easy hold for round 18 if you have that ability to. Otherwise, I do understand moving on if you don't need him over the next few weeks or the next month. Lawson, 266. I'm seeing people selling him as well. Yes, it's poor. Yes, it's average, but people want to cash down for a reason. You already have it. There's no point trading him to another cash down or to go up, unless you have like 500k in the bank or something. Then yeah, sure, you can. But if you're just swapping him for another cheapie, you saw what happened with this cheapie. That could easily happen with the other. It's not the first half of the season where cash cows come up in really good teams and injuries, popping up, or they've got a new spot in the side and they've earned it. These kind of guys are coming in because of injuries, potentially into not so good teams because they are ravaged by injury. And then there's like a 50% chance they come off. So you could be trading this guy that hasn't worked for another guy that might not work. So that feels like a mistake. And then Gutho, 525k for him. If you have purchased him, the worry here is that he continues with these 20s and 30s, which he's had a lot of this year. Now, he got that 72 and people jumped on and they were excited by it, but then since then he's been poor. Remember, guys, his team isn't very good. So, yes, he can have the odd good game like he saw at the beginning of the year, but that was when they were flying in their attack, which just hasn't been happening in recent history. So, he's someone that I think, even though he's playing round 18, he could be sold because he's not performing the way you want. I think, personally, you cut your losses and move on from Gutho. Now, Turbo at 398k to finish this one off. He's priced at 30, which is just wild. Guys, even if he moves to center, I think it's fine at this price point. You play him, you hold him for round 19, and he does the job for you. There's no way that he's a sell. This week off is going to be great for him. And to get some of that rest and whatever he needs for his body, hopefully he's okay. He'll come back, do a decent job for you in round 18, and then you can decide from round 19. But at this price point, you can just leave him in there as a looping player that has upside and just see how it goes. I'm looking at guys like Howarth, who we'll speak about in the next video, that are that price around that 400k that could do a job that will play all year if they're fit. So yeah, someone like Turbo, if you already own, there's no point moving on from. So there you go, guys. It's the holds and the sells for round 16. I hope you guys enjoyed Origin. Super excited for game 3. Let me know what your thoughts were on Origin down below, and also where you're at with your holds and your sells. If you got any questions, if it's simple and easy, I will reply. Otherwise, I save all that one-on-one advice for the people in the private group. Information is in the description for that as well. $25 for the rest of the year. Thanks, guys. Catch you in the next one, which will be the best buys.